Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mehek. I hope you guys are all fine, and like always, I also hope that you guys are reading. Now, if you're someone who is obsessed with everything Korean, or if you have this big question that what makes Korea so popular and everything that it produces so popular, then today's book is for you. The book is The Korean Cool, The Birth of Korean Cool. The author is Euny Hong. I hope that's how it's pronounced. Now, this book is not your dry history book. I would say it's a mix of memoir, journalism, and cultural analysis. Now, the author, Euny Hong, she's someone who was born in Chicago, and pretty much till the age of 12 years, she lived like an American kid. But in 1985, her father and her family shifted back to Korea, South Korea, because of the job. And this becomes the starting point of the book. So the author, her opening line is that in 1985, Korea was not so cool. And she's not exaggerating. So, what was Korea like in 1985? So, the author shifts to or comes back to the Gangnam Street. Yes, the famous Gangnam that we see in the Gangnam song, but it wasn't like anything that we see today. There was water shortage, there was electricity cuts, and schools with really strict teachers who would harshly punish the students. Now, when I read the book, I also realized that at that time Korea was still a country that was military dictatorship, so it was still recovering from poverty and war. Now, this book basically captures, how a country like Korea, which was globally ignored, soon became a superpower, a cultural superpower, soft power. Now, a major moment in the book is the 1997 Asian financial crisis, also called in Korea as the IMF crisis. This is when Korea took a big loan from International Monetary Fund, and this moment became a national moment of shame. The country took it really hard upon themselves, and post this became a turning point because unlike probably other countries, Korea did not decide to take the safe route. It decided to go with a bold move. It decided that it would export its culture. So right from your K-pop to your technology to your fashion to your beauty, everything. So what they went ahead and did was they wired the entire country with really super fast internet. They also established a ministry of culture that decided to intentionally and with a lot of investment and strategically promote Korean culture. And lastly, they started also collaborating with the private companies to promote Korea and bring in business in the country. Now, there are various developments or thematic development that the author covers in the book, right from 1985 to 2014. This book was written, published in 2014, but it also has the one that I'm holding in my hand is the 2022 expanded edition. So it also talks about BTS, which wasn't as popular in 2014 as it is now. So some of the I made a note of it. Some of the Korean aspects of Korean culture that the author talks about that played a huge role in the nation's rise was the first, the brutal education system, which produces both excellence and trauma. I mean, some of the stories I was really shocked to hear. But you must also know that Korea is also one of the countries with, I think it's the only country, if I'm not wrong, with really high suicide rate. The next thing is a unique Korean concept called the Han. It is a concept of collective sorrow, rage, and vengeance that Korea as a nation has because of many, many years of oppression and invasion, that it had in the war and everything, and it just wanted to, come back. The third thing which I read, which was quite interesting, was the kimchi and the cabbage inferiority complex. Very hard to believe kimchi that most of us would be obsessed with right now or actually love is something that Koreans were really ashamed of because it smelled. But how they decided to rebrand kimchi as a global superfood is quite an interesting story. The third one was about. The fourth one was about, sorry, Samsung. It was quite interesting to read Samsung's journey. It was called Samsung. The brand really sucked. Nobody wanted it. Even Koreans didn't want it. And now it's one of the global, technology giant. The next one was about the K-pop factory, how you have these industrial manufacturing of idol groups, which spend years and years of training and investment, video gaming. So when the IMF crisis happened and the unemployment was on rise, how that really accelerated, Korea's birth of online gaming, how that became hit. The plastic surgery culture. I mean, it's quite enormous in Korea. And lastly, she also talks about how the government and corporations work together to build success for Korea. I think when you read all of this, you realize that Korea's global influence or success was planned, it was strategic, and it was intentional. So this is what is the plot of the book. I would say I really loved the author's writing. It was funny, it was insightful, and I think she makes really complex ideas into very she's written it in a very simple way. uh, what I also loved is that because she has this insider outsider view. She was an outsider earlier and then started coming and living. So that was also interesting. I think if you're someone who loves um, reading about culture, or if you're someone, like I said in the start, if you're curious about what made Korea so famous so quickly, then this book is definitely for you. Also, if you're someone who, is passionate about branding, strategy, or superpower, I think this book is definitely for you. I think for me, if I have to summarize, this book was really insightful. It gave me a different perspective, and it was really smart, and opened my mind. And it makes you realize that, culture is also a power. And with the right intention, the future of the country can definitely change, So a country like Korea, used its shame and everything that it went through into, motivation, turned it into motivation. And like I said, went from a country from being globally ignored to a country with such a massive global influence. So yeah, that's all on this wonderful book, The Birth of Korean Cool. I think you should definitely read this book. It won't disappoint you. I'm going to meet you next week with another title. Till then, take care and bye bye.